Hey guys, take a second and imagine what it was like back when you were a child in grade school. Remember lunch? I used to hate the food they served at lunch. Soggy bread and meat that tasted like cardboard. Well, some children actually love going to school just because they know they can get one meal for the day. In today's economy, not every parent can afford food or other basic essentials such as rent, heat, or clothing. In fact, in 2011, 43.6 million people registered for food stamps. These groups of people are sensitive and in need, and in this time in their lives, there are those fighting for the right to demand drug testing for welfare recipients. Drug testing for welfare recipients is wrong and ineffective for three reasons. It is against U.S. values, it is costly and ineffective, and it singles out welfare recipients for disdain. Let me further explain my first reason. Drug testing for welfare recipients is against U.S. values. Think about drug testing as it is today. If you want to work in a career, if you want to play sports in school, it is voluntary. And if you do this, private companies are allowed to drug test you because you have volunteered and you agree to these terms. Now, is choosing to be on welfare something you do voluntary? I don't think so. People on welfare do not choose to be on welfare. They do not choose to barely be able to feed their kids or to not have heat. If you want to talk about those who don't work so they can receive welfare, that's a different story and a different speech. But I believe those on welfare do not choose to be on welfare. And because they have not voluntarily chose to be on welfare, there is no right for us to step inside their homes and violate their right of privacy under the U.S. Constitution and drug test them. The next reason drug testing for welfare recipients is wrong is because it is costly and ineffective. First off, welfare recipients have to pay for their own drug test. These people can barely afford food, and now we want them to pay for an expensive drug test? Now, they do get refunded if they test negative for the drug test, but if they don't, they are not refunded. But even if they are refunded, that money is gone for a period of time, money that is very much needed. How can we loan out money to the government for drug testing when we can barely afford heat for our children and for our families? Next off, let's look at drug testing for welfare recipients and how it has been used most recently in Florida. Florida has used TANFA funds. These funds are spent and used and gathered from taxpayers. Taxpayers are what make the TANFA funds. Now, all these funds that are going towards drug testing, this money could have been used for what it was meant for originally: heat, clothing, to pay rent. Now they're taking money away from those who need basic essentials to survive, and they're using it for drug testing. Let's look at Florida more specifically. The state paid about $1,140 for 38 negative tests, while saving less than $240 a month, denying benefits for 2 positive tests, one of which was appealed. Look at the money lost and look at the money earned. There is no money earned. There is only money lost. This money that was lost, as I mentioned above, could have been spent more appropriately with the TNFA funds for heat, clothing, food. Drug testing welfare recipients is costly and ineffective. Florida is the most recent state to imply this, and look at its failures. Lastly, I believe testing drug fare recipients singles out welfare recipients for disdain. As I mentioned above, this was most recently tried in 2011 in Florida. Applicants were less likely to use drugs than the general public. It is ineffective. There is no research that shows that this demographic of people is more likely to use drugs than the general public. And as showed in Florida, the general public uses more drugs than those on welfare. This is discrimination. It attaches a stereotype to families who are in need. It opens a door to cut essentials to children's and his mothers. Can you imagine taking away everything that a mother can receive from the government because she has tested positive for THC? Kicked to the curb with her children, her 3 children, her 4 children, without anything because of something such as low as THC, something as common as THC. This is discriminatory to even open this door, to say that this group of people is more likely to use drugs. Where is the research? To conclude, I would like to reiterate my points. Again, firstly, drug testing of welfare recipients is against U.S. values. Americans have the right to privacy under the U.S. Constitution. Second, drug testing this demographic is costly and ineffective. As shown by Florida, there is no financial gain by this, and it does not solve a problem. Lastly, it singles out welfare recipients for disdain. It's discrimination against this group without any real research. Let's take a look at the scripture, Deuteronomy 15:11. It says, "There will always be poor people in the land. Therefore I command you to be open-handed towards your brothers and towards the poor and needy in your land." So instead of forcing drug testing on welfare recipients, let's help change the unemployment rate. Spend what funds we have on helping and teaching the unemployed, and do what God has called us to do. Thank you.